Yo, what's going on guys? It is Jazz here, back with another video, and today is another chapter summary for Bunny Call, and today we are going to be doing the chapter, hold on if I can get to it, In the Flesh. So, I would have to say this was definitely the most interesting chapter I've ever read. Definitely the best of the best. I'm kidding, but in all honesty, it was an okay story. In my full rating, I would have to do an 8 out of 10, just because of, I guess, how this connects, how this part, I guess, of the lore connects to something. I don't know. You guys will see in the video. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. The main character of the chapter is called Matt. Now, Matt is a video game designer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. He is a video game designer for Springtrap's Revenge, which is the next installment of the popular Five Nights at Freddy's series. So it's kind of interesting how it's linking, our Five Nights at Freddy's series into the book lore, which is kind of interesting. That's what I meant earlier. And yeah, he is the main designer of this game. And what he likes to do is make sure, he likes to control Springtrap, so that way he knows, okay, I'm going to have Springtrap do what I tell him in order to basically, I guess, not kill me. But yeah, he's beta testing this game right now because it's going to be going to the public very soon. And what's interesting is that this game is very, very popular. A lot of people are hyped about this. People think this is going to be the best game in the world or something like this. But yeah, it's a really, really, really good game. Really good game in the book universe. So basically, more into the game, Springtrap's Revenge is a VR game. So it gives a little brief description. It's 2 pages long, but I'll just do I'll just read a couple of pages so you guys can know key parts of it. There was a wall on either side. These walls formed the dark hallways. That was the entrance of the maze. At this point, Matt could only see down the hall straight ahead. No entrances to the left or right were visible yet, but he was about to move forward, and he saw his creation and his adversary, a large green rabbit, appear at the end of the hall and then exit to the left. Just because it was a rabbit didn't mean it was cute. Matt had always found humans in rabbit costumes creepy, as was evidenced by an old picture his mom had taken of him when he was 3 years old, screaming bloody murder on the lap of the blanket-grinning Easter Bunny at the mall. Springtrap, the rabbit in the game, was even scarier than the Uncanny Valley-dwelling mall Easter Bunny. Its costume was so tattered that some of its mechanical parts were visible beneath the fabric, and the better part of one ear was missing. Its eyes were evil orbs that glowed green when it spotted its prey, and its grin was wily and ghastly. It was definitely nightmare fuel, which was absolutely what Matt had intended for it to be. That was no murder, of course. If he were, he would have had to do it so much research. But Matt knew it was to feel rage, to feel wrong, to feel so ill-used. Then he burned with the desire to destroy, to smash, to teach people who had wronged him in a lesson they would never forget. During the game's development, Springtrap became a place Matt could put all these feelings, a respiratory for all his destructive urges. Springtrap was a child of Matt's rage. That's basically the whole premise of the game. So basically you have to pass this maze or else Springtrap will kill you. And Springtrap in this game actually represents Matt's past because in certain key points, I believe, it was mentioned later in the book, he always had failed relationships. His he always had girlfriend relationship problems. He had a wife, but then they divorced because it is mentioned that he didn't want kids. So, and then of his roommate, which I'll mention later on. But yeah, he had it literally looks like all these issues that he has in the past or something, he all put that into Springtrap. So while Matt is playing the game, he gets killed by Springtrap, and he's angry. He how people rage quit whenever they play video games. Basically he does that. He doesn't want to destroy the headset, but he's just oh come on, why did this happen? I'm the master of this game, I should be controlling Springtrap. Then it also has some interaction with his employees, which shows that Matt is not a big fan of interacting with other people, which is very interesting. And then it also goes further into his and Hannah's relationship, which I did mention earlier. They were the perfect couple, they were happily married, and then I guess the relationship got so bad that Hannah, the person who married Matt, She wanted to see, marriage counseling, so because of what Matt was doing. But then eventually 1 year later, they broke up. So Matt tries the game again. He does the same tactic as before, but then Springtrap gets him again, and then Matt rages, and then he goes back home, and then he goes to this apartment because he and Hannah used to have a house, but ever since they divorced, he had to go to an apartment, and he lives with a childhood friend called Jason. Now it says that they always get fast food, pizza, Thai, and pretty much anything else related to that. So, and then during the movie, he thinks you know what, I'm going to see if I can control Springtrap. Next time I play the game, I'm going to see if I can control him. He goes into work the next day, and he's trying to, think what he wanted to do, like how I mentioned earlier, he wanted to control Springtrap, but, ooh, listen to this part, this is interesting. Matt's avatar ran through the periphery of the maze looking for signs of Springtrap. He turned a corner and caught sight of something green up ahead. Springtrap's lifeless body lay in the maze next to Ben. It was splayed on its back with its torso split wide open. Matt kneeled for a closer look. Springs and gears protruded from the edge of the gaping wound. How could something so mechanical manage to look so dead? Springtrap's blank, stainless stare was horrible to behold. Matt reached up to the rabbit's eyelids to close them. As soon as he made physical contact, Matt felt a sharp sting combined with a mid-electrical jolt that reminded him of the pain of getting his fraternity letters tattooed on his ankle in college. He pulled the avatar's hand away. I feel like this, whenever I read this, I was like, wait, what? And then after I can kind of see why, how this happened. So there's some filler that happens after there. Basically, Matt and Jason go on this date with called Ava and Megan, and they all go on a date. Matt's trying to have Jason's having a good time, but then Matt is I guess not having a good time. Jason's basically accusing him. It's like, oh yeah, you're basically talking about yourself, you're being this selfish, and Matt's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. So basically they they left after that. So the next morning, Matt feels uneasy. Basically, he feels really, really ill, and so he decides, I'm gonna get breakfast, I'm gonna see what happens. No, the breakfast did not agree or help with it. So basically, he felt sick, and yeah, you'll see why. So Matt comes in the next day, and he and his boss are talking about the game as always, and then and they're just describing the project, it's going great right now. So I'm gonna have you do this little presentation by Friday. And Matt's like, yeah, I could totally do that. So he's trying to think of more ways so he could improve the game. And he's like, you know what? Okay, if I program a new Springtrap, it's probably gonna go the same route it will do. And then hopefully once the game is released, and then this is gonna be a lot better. So basically now the scene cuts to Jean, which it looks like it's another employee. And there's something about this that's just like, okay, you'll have to hear it. It's interesting. So Gene Jr., which I believe it does say it's the son of Gene. Basically there's two Genes in this area, which is very, very interesting. So Gene Jr. and then the father named Gene. So, after Gene Jr. Plays, because they got an early copy since, I guess the father, since the father works at a company, there was something in there that just, okay. This got me thinking as soon as I finished reading the chapter. After a few commands, he was in, but what he found made no sense. According to the code, Springtrap had been extracted from the very game that bore his name in the title. The program had initiated the extraction was, inexplicably, it's _a boy.exe. You'll see why in a second. So another part of filler comes in. Matt is having this date with Madison. It goes really well, and he's interested in her. So whenever Matt gets undressed, you know, from that from his shower, he notices in the mirror that his belly has gotten a little bigger, which he says it bloated. So, oh boy, and he's like, wait, what? How? And then also his chin bloated as well, which is very confusing. Like whenever I first read it at first. And he wakes up again, he's more bloated than the night before, and he's just like, okay, this is some sort of virus. I don't know what's going on. Like, I need Amy, one of the, you know, the workers there. She's like, hey, Matt, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just like a virus. And then later they talk about the game, which they all love it, but it does say that the AI of Springtrap is sloppy, which is interesting. Matt gets all angry. He's like, hey, yeah, I do my best work in this game. Like, I'm trying my best here. Like, I don't know why they're, you know, talking crap about my character. So later on, Matt drives home, and whenever he gets home, Jason, he's all angry at him. It's like, yeah, Jason basically says like, oh yeah, you gave, you know, your number to Eva, even though I was the one that was with her. And Matt's just like, well, it doesn't, if you want me to apologize, then I will. But he just gets all snappy, you know, with Jason, and it angers Jason so much that he's like, okay, you know what, I had enough. I'm leaving tonight, but tomorrow I'm coming back to get my stuff. Later on, Matt is, you know, feeling some guilt, and what's interesting is that he's actually crying real tears, which is, by the sounding of that, it doesn't look like that he's never like, you know, felt emotion before, you know, like sadness before, since all we know is that he felt more anger than like actual, I guess, you know, caring for someone. So he goes on this other date with a girl named Emma, and, you know, Matt again, he, you know, he's just not in a good mood, and he makes fun of her, of the way she looks, which gets her upset, and she's like, oh, you know, I don't know why you're calling me this, even though you like, you know, you look like this, and it gets them all frustrated, and his buttons are popping, and she's like, this is the best worst date ever, because even though he was making fun of her, it literally looked like it was, you know, backfiring on him. So the next day, Matt is, you know, back at his apartment. You know, he's feeling worse now, and earlier in the book, they mentioned that he has yellow skin, which, if you guys do not know, is jaundice. You know, he's feeling worse than before, and then he looks at this belly, and there's something moving. Hold on, I'm gonna read you this. This is definitely one of the most interesting things I've read, and oh my god, dude. Whenever I read this, I was like, bro, what the heck? Alright, I'm gonna read it to you guys. I think it's only like 2.5 pages, so it shouldn't be that long, but yeah. He looked at the skin of his belly. There was movement underneath. When he felt the pounding, a faint imprint of an indeterminate shape showed up on his skin. Matt stiffened to scream, and then he realized the truth. Something was inside him, and it was trying to get out. The painful pounding became more insistent and drumbeat of agony. If it was out of him, whatever it was, the pain would stop. Get it out, he thought as he squeezed his eyes shut and clenched his jaw. He grabbed his discarded t-shirt and bit down on the fabric just to have some kind of outlet for the pain. If he got it out, the pain would stop. But how? There was no place for it to go. Another surge of pain hit him, this one crushing. He doubled over and grappled the kitchen counter for support. His gaze turned to the kitchen knives hanging on the magnetic strip on the wall. He could cut it out. Cutting would relieve the pressure and get whatever it was out. He would be free of whatever this burden was. He wanted to be free. He grabbed the largest, sharpest kitchen knife and lay it on the back of the floor. Starting the incision was the hardest part, but the pain inside him was greater than any pain he can cause himself. He sank the knife's tip into the top of his abdomen and drew the blade downward, biting down on the t-shirt so the neighbors wouldn't have to hear him scream. There was pain, but there was no relief. The pressure stopped, the blood flowed, and Matt saw emerging from the incision one long green rabbit ear. The whole rabbit emerged, wet and slimy with mucus, a perfectly formed spring trap the size of a healthy newborn infant. But unlike a newborn infant, the rabbit could pull itself out of the incision, land in a kneeling position on the kitchen floor, and then rise to stand. The blood loss was making Matt fade in and out of consciousness. But even in the adult state, he could see that the creature he had spun was Springtrap, but somehow not Springtrap. This one was realer, more organic than the one in the video game. Matt's mind drifted back to the story his mom had read to him when he was little about a stuffed toy rabbit that he wished so hard to be real that it became real. The Springtrap stood over Matt's bleeding body. Was not an amalgamation of a code that somebody like him had programmed into a computer. This Springtrap was real. The green rabbit sat down on the floor beside Matt and rested Matt's head on its furry lap. It felt nice. Matt was losing so much blood. Could a person lose this so much blood and stay alive? The rabbit stroked Matt's cheek. Matt didn't know if he heard the word come out of the rabbit's mouth or if it was only in his own head. Daddy. Okay, so remember how in that code it said it's_a_boy.exe? It gave us a little hint that Matt was gonna, oh my gosh, dude. Oh gosh, there's still more to this. So I believe this officer is talking to Jason and he's just like trying to explain to him how like this whole thing happened, and Matt and Jason was like, oh, I don't know, you know, I guess he was upset about something. But then after the officer was searching around, it was a clump of something green and fuzzy, like the artificial fur from a stuffed animal. Do you have any idea what this could be? The officer asked. Jason looked at the unfamiliar green fur. It was covered in an unpleasant slime, like a clear mucus. I have no idea, Jason said. The officer rolled slimy hairs between his fingers and thumb, looking at them with apparent confusion, then shrugged and wiped his hand on a clean paper towel. And that's it. Next is the man in room 1280. You guys have any thoughts about this? It was good. It definitely was good. How? Whenever I read that, I was kind of guessing it's like maybe the shock, the shock triggered something in Matt. So it would actually, have a real Springtrap baby, which is definitely interesting, but also weird at the same time. But yeah, that's it. It's so funny how it connects with the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, even though we all know that the book universe is separate from the game universe, like two different universes. Because Scott did say that, this doesn't, tie in with any of the game, but we can think it kind of does, but not really, since, it's two different universes. But it's just it's so interesting how he cuts into the real life of Five Nights at Freddy's, and it also, gets us the idea of, Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted. But yeah, that was definitely very, very interesting. Whenever I also read that last part, it literally reminded me of Chucky for some reason. Since Chucky, is possessed and, he's able to, run around. It kind of reminded me of that whenever Springtrap, came out and, was talking to him, which was interesting. But anyway, you guys, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Like I said, the last one is going to be the man in room 1280, and then after that I will be recording and uploading the secret chapter. So the next videos you guys will get is going to be a double upload, which I'm very, very excited for that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, if you guys did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.